Yeah, no, we're having you play Shout Warrior all the time.
Everybody get up, it's time to slam now. We got the real jam going down. Welcome to the Space Jam. Here's your chance, do your dance at the Space Jam. Alright.
And now all my bones are back.
What the hell is even that?
It's beautiful. Big too.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. This is my masterpiece.
I win every time.
It broke new ground!
Anyways, my broskies, I gotta bounce. Bounce on your boy's
Justice!
Hey, got him.
Do you want to play a healer that is some of the best AoE heals in the game? That instead of a book or staff uses an axe? That rather than magic heals with the natural and soothing power of yelling? To be so masculine that even if you're a woman, masculinity will redefine itself for you. In this guide, I will let you know of the pros and cons of being the loudest healthcare provider around, starting with skills and buffs, and then moving on to raid-specific and world v world builds. Keep in mind, Shouthealer has some flaws, but if you account for them, you will be the sexiest and most helpful, axe-wielding, screaming medical practitioner you know. Come on, let's go! First off, SH, which I will call the build from now on, is the manliest healer you can possibly play. All but one of your shouts are instantaneous, meaning you can spam them and more importantly fight non-stop while healing. This means while you are giving 10-person buffs or doing the big deeps, you can heal with the click of a button, no channel time, just shouting. Pure, visceral shouting. This makes Shouthealer, in my opinion, the best reactive healer in the game. I know a lot of you are here for the basic build alone, so here it is. Wear full Harrier Gear and Sigils of Transferance and Concentration with Runes of the Pack. Why Runes of the Pack? Frankly, you don't need more healing, and this helps you share your beefy, manly boons that much more. Axe and Warhorn main weapons, secondary hammer if crowd control is needed, otherwise bring a second axe as your swap. If you are bad at melee or need ranged, start with the rifle as your swap and transition over once you don't need it. Here is what to do for fights with minimal condition damage. You swap out condition cleansing and extra boons for giant passive AoE heals, and an 100 power stat boost for your party. Everyone's going to tell you to bring banners, but you can be a banner. Shouthealer can also tank. Here is the build. You'll do almost no damage and have less boon uptime, but it should calm down those raid organizers that are prone to doing impromptu Tyler 1 impersonations when your healer's icon isn't a fan or a happy son. Slap on full Minstrel's gear and Rune of the Trooper or Monk and have a blast. This build can bring banners too if your raid has decent condition cleanse already. Grab a mace and a warhorn and swap to a shield. More on this later. With a godlike physique and Giga Chat approach to modern medicine come a price. Here are the downsides and upsides of this build, starting with the bad. Downside 1. Quickness, alacrity, and protection. Alone your group will be missing these. You have 9 other people in your raid though, and it's usually very easy for 1 or 2 other people to cover those weak spots. Also, protection isn't necessary for most boss fights as your heals are delicious, thick boy heals. Although, as my sex ed teacher once said, it's always helpful to bring a little protection. A firebrand healer and an alacrity renegade can cover all these among many other combinations. Downside 2, finding a group. People are threatened by your pure masculinity and sex appeal, and are afraid of anything outside of a druid or firebrand. Disregard these people, it is the duty of an SH to shout at only the worthy, those that recognize their immense and manly power. Elitists may complain about your lack of certain buffs, and there's only one way to respond to these people.
Buffer. What? Buffer these nuts.
And that is it for downsides. Now for the upsides of playing a certified shouty boy, girl, or indeterminate third shouting gender. Upside 1, enormous AoE target heals. Heal shouts are quite literally fire and forget, yell into the void, and the void will bless your squad with a long, healthy life. Shake It Off will, in my experience, always target the allies with the most debilitating conditions, and heal them for an absolute truckload.
I'm very deeply, truly deeply sorry about the cancer diagnosis.
Not to mention, Warhorn 5 will also heal anyone and remove those naughty red icons from, assuming you took the trait for it, giving you more time to focus on beating the perpetrator to death. Remember, destroying your enemies is the thinking man's damage mitigation of choice. Upside 2, big Defiance bar damage. Being the manly soul that you are, you can wrestle any foe into submission. If you are playing with a group that doesn't need as much healing, especially if you are tanking, you can bring Kick instead of On My Mark or Banner. Not only can you combo Kick into hammer moves, followed by another kick to almost single-handedly knock out any foe's Defiance bar, you look damn good while doing it. While not necessary for experienced groups, you can single-handedly carry crowd control checks by yourself if needed. Upside 3, Warhorn. Warhorn skills for a warrior in Harrier's Gear are absolutely insane. Your charge grants the entire raid, yes, all 10 people, Fury, Swiftness, and a 25% damage boost for their next 2 skills. For those newer to the game, that means every 15 seconds, you turn your entire raid into Pillar Men. This actually breaks the DPS limit for your entire raid and makes it so that if someone is using a strong skill, power, or condition, it's gonna be that much stronger. Time for some math. Let's say a power DPS has 3,500 power with 25 stacks of might, which is a very low ball estimate for a lot of power DPS. 3,500 divided by 4 is 875, and 875 divided by 30 is 29. That means every 15 seconds you're giving your entire raid, and that player specifically, an additional 29 stacks of might for their next 2 hits. Your other skill gives your entire raid a 4K barrier, 20 seconds of endurance, 6 seconds of resistance, removes 3 conditions, and heals them if you take the trait for it, and is a blast finisher, which when used in your banner will remove additional conditions. This is on a 20-second cooldown. Upside 4, stats and damage. Due to traits, you are much more thick than most healers and can take a lot more damage. You also hit a lot harder, and although you will never come close to a pure DPS character, with practice you will be doing 3 to 5 times the damage of other healers. Practice on a golem first, and you should be able to hit at least 6 or 7k DPS before you get started with actual raids. Elitists will tell you this doesn't matter, but they're objectively wrong. Let's do the math again. Let's say a druid does 1k DPS and you're a good SH, so you do 4k. Let's say a fight goes on for 5 minutes. That is 300 seconds. 300 seconds times 3,000, which is the difference between you and the aforementioned druid, is 900k damage. Ask any DPS in the game if they would staple 900k more damage onto their total if they could. Most of them would probably like that. As a tank, you do no damage by yourself, but with a 10-man squad will probably add more damage overall than any single DPS player. Between charges' 25% damage buff and your Fury and Might spam, you're definitely going to be raking in the deeps. Also, if you bring banners, you will make your raid very happy. Banners in priority are Power Condition Banner and then Precision Ferocity Banner. Ignore the other 2. You need at least 1 shout to be viable. Shouts in the order of priority are For Great Justice for the Might and Fury, Shake It Off, and On My Mark. Fear Me is useful in World v World, but never bring it to raids. Your heal skill, no matter what, should always be to the limit. Not only does this heal allies, and you, but it recharges a full dodge bar for them. World v World. No matter your build, take out on my mark or banner. Bring kick or fear me. You should have to the limit, shake it off, kick or fear me, and a third utility skill of your choice. I personally take a shout, usually for great justice, for survivability, or stomp to just ruin someone's day. Banners are useful in certain fights, especially in Stone Mist, but fights are pretty mobile in World v World, and it's not uncommon to drop a banner just for people to decide that they don't want to fight there anymore and fight outside its range. So I usually don't take them for World v World, but the option is there. Anyway, you now know how to shout people back from the brink of death. My work here is done. If you appreciate my work, please donate to or volunteer at your local SPCA. One last thing, I appreciate the Please No Bully Guild in NA for raiding with me for this video. Every week they do open and training raids if you want to get into training, and they love messing around with builds. So if you're somebody who likes playing something a little off meta, give them a call. I will be back with another build soon, so until then.